in unclean areas? Are you going to allow them to have, I don't know, look at who, hepatitis B, and it's like, I'm not going to have people with really bad behavior watching my child and exposing my child to this. So
True, but I got a question for you then. Okay, now I was in Washington when Mount St. Helens blew up both times.
Oh,
right?
you're okay.
Okay,
Washington State.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
1980.
Yeah, it was in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and now today, the scientists that do like the atmospheric tests and everything like that say they still find ash from Mount St. Helens, in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah, 34 years ago.
Right. Okay. So my question is, if that's possible, then wouldn't Japan still kind of be dealing with the atomic bomb?
Well, it's true. It's like in 1977 when I met with a genetic specialist. My second child had a massive stroke in utero and was born with the brain of a 3-month fetus. He lived to be 12, and the genetic specialist told me that they were seeing a lot of birth defects, congenital, the things that children were being born with. And he commented that the United States had a high amount of still, they had, what it was he said it was from Hiroshima.
Oh,
that
really?
we had a lot of radiation that was in our atmosphere in 76 from Hiroshima. We still had fallout. Fallout. That's what it was.
And then we had Chernobyl.
Right.
And then we had 3 Mile Island.
Right.
And then we had
that was
Fukushima.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, that's what I'm saying is this MTHFR, this gene mutation, it's becoming very common. And we have so many metric tons of toxins that are in the air that's a continual assault on your immune system. It's a continual assault on your body when you're, for small children, for elderly, for the weak, the sickly, and for the unborn child.
Right.
So there's so much that made it very difficult to pass through the placenta barrier that naturally protected the unborn child. But with all of these chemicals that are toxic to our system and are genetic altering to our system, are creating all of these problems that have just increased so dramatically that we have far more illness today than even 10 years ago.
Sure.
So, and there's this debate back and forth with vaccines. There's people that are going to insist on having them, and if you do, I would just say, eat a lot of garlic. There's homeopathic remedies that you can take to help to, pull those toxins that were put into your body, pull them out. And, that's what I suggest if you're being strong-armed to vaccinate. And so Colorado, as far as an individual, we still have our exemption that it is not mandated in Colorado. However, healthcare workers and people in the food industry, it is mandatory. If you want a job working in the food business or in healthcare, you will be inoculated or you will be vaccinated or you will not have a job.
So what are some of the herbs and stuff that they could be taking to, kind
Well, one of the first things
get
that
some of that stuff out of. I mean, is garlic the only thing though?
no. I mean, you can do garlic. You can do frankincense. You can do the grapefruit, pink grapefruit, lemon. Essential oils work really, really great. On Guard to put over, or Guardian, either one of those to put over the injection site. And, that's absorbed, and, use a little coconut oil and rub that into that area and takes care of the inflammation. It stops the process of the absorption of the aluminum and the mercury. And those are a lot of the problems that the reaction comes from. But like I said, you can go to Dr. Tenpenny's website and start reading up on what all these vaccines, are doing, and that the information out there is not as accurate as you'd like to believe that it is. And one of the things, like in '95, when we first started seeing all these commercials on TV that was the pharmaceutical industry, and I thought for sure, it's like, you've got to be kidding me. Listen to the last minute of the side effects.
Right.
Really, somebody's going to call their doctor and really want to go on that medication. I thought for sure, it was going to be something that was going to be short-lived, and it's not.
Right.
And people were calling their doctors wanting things, even with 1 minute of side effects that were pretty scary things.
Oh, yeah.
But what has happened with that is we need to look at the money. It's all about money. And when those pharmaceutical companies started advertising these drugs with certain shows, networks, all the money that they were paying to these networks for their commercials, what it ended up creating then was people being suppressed about the information that could be given out on that network against who have now become some of their biggest advertisers. So you see, if they would allow people to come in and really speak the truth about what was going on, they would lose that advertising money. So, unfortunately, we've become wow. We
I understand.
A whore for a greenback.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, is
it's
disgusting, but unfortunately, that is what's happened.
Well, it has to be.
And the money rules it all.
15% of the population, $7.4 trillion. Oh, yeah, I think that's a whore for the greenback.
Yeah, exactly. So, when we're dealing with, the body's immune system, gets knocked down with the continual insult of, the genetically modified foods, the acid conditions of too much pop, too much white flour. I mean, white flour is dead, stripped. There's no nutrients in it.
Yeah, actually there was a...
Yeah. I sent it over to you.
Yes, that was disgusting.
And it's like, and I made a comment last week when somebody had said something about, white bread, and I said, well, why don't you just chew that up and stick it to the roof of your mouth and continue on with what you're eating. It'll stay stuck right up there on the roof of your mouth. Now stop and think about what that does in your digestive tract. Really. I mean, if it's sticking to the roof of your mouth and you're continuing to eat and it's not falling down from there, ooh, this is not good. So, the immune system here is the hero when it's strong enough that you're exposed to things and you don't get sick. Then there's, the immune system is so strong that it's able to stop disease before it can cause any kind of a serious problem in the body. And that's vaccine or no vaccine. In others, once the body has mounted a response to the vaccine, it's on alert and ready to be able to have a faster response to an actual disease. But vaccines don't always work. And a lot of times they actually backfire. And there's two reasons why vaccines don't work the way that they're supposed to. First, in order to weaken the virus, this is where the manufacturers have to combine the viral material with toxic substances like mercury and formaldehyde, aluminum. And if the body isn't strong enough to detoxify these chemicals, they can actually weaken the immune system. So we've got, secondly, viruses aren't technically alive. You hear that, it's a dead virus, so don't worry about it. It's a dead virus. It's still a foreign invader to the body, whether it's dead or alive. It's still foreign. It doesn't belong there. So, the bits and pieces of the stray DNA material encased in that protein sheath of the dead virus, has a reaction in our body. So the immune system then isn't strong enough to have an effective response. Even the supposedly weakened virus in the vaccine can actually make you sick. So that's where, the paradox lies, because the same populations that are most at risk for serious problems with the flu, the elderly, and those with compromised immune system, in small children, and look at how they're inoculated up. There's so many problems that develop with dealing with vaccines. So whether you choose to have a vaccine or not is your choice. It's always your choice. But get educated about it. Go to Dr. Tenpenny's website, and learn, educate yourself. So, the other avenue to consider when it comes to preventing flu and other illnesses is taking a look at the herbal kingdom and looking at the foods in that food kingdom that were given to us. So, you got a question here?
Oh, yeah, I do, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of burning in there for a moment. Okay, now, so this is a question on the inoculations. Okay, so now, remember back in the day that we were told that we had eradicated these certain diseases.
Right, like polio. Well, Europe eradicated polio before we did, and they didn't vaccinate.
And they didn't vaccinate?
No, they didn't vaccinate. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, and Dr. Salk also, later on in life, he used his son and a couple of his friends to test repeatedly the vaccine on.
Because
one of the kids ended up in a wheelchair the rest of his life.
Wow, because, we're hearing, I've heard a couple of reports on the news here and there where, some of these diseases that we, had supposedly eradicated are back in the United States again.
Well, one of the problems with that is, we definitely have a problem with an influx of people from other countries that have come into our country who come from areas of North America as well as other countries that do not have they don't have the type of living environment that we have. For the most part, even though we've got all these other toxins and stuff from a sanitary standpoint, we're much more effective on taking care of those things. And so we have people